There is a strange and beautiful mystery that lives at the core of the twin flame journey. It's a soul-deep recognition, an unspoken bond that often defies logic and breaks every rule we think love should follow. And yet, it feels more real than anything else. For those who walk this path, the connection between twin flames is not merely romantic, it is spiritual. It is about growth, awakening, and divine purpose. And yet, for many, this connection comes with deep pain and confusion, particularly during the stage of separation. Among the most challenging and emotionally overwhelming parts of this journey is understanding the behavior of the twin flame runner. This is the one who pulls away, who withdraws, who seems to reject the very love that is meant to heal and uplift them. To the one who stays, who waits, who feels deeply, who chases not out of desperation, but from the truth they know in their soul. This running can feel like abandonment. It can feel like rejection. But beneath the surface of this behavior is something much more complex and sacred. Today, we will uncover the patterns and emotional layers of the twin flame runner. We will look into why they run, how they behave, what their inner world looks like, and how their journey is equally important, even if it appears messy or resistant. The first thing to understand about the twin flame runner is that they are not running from you. They are running from themselves, or more specifically, from the emotional mirror that you represent to them. A twin flame connection is like standing in front of a spiritual mirror. Every unhealed wound, every insecurity, every deeply buried fear gets reflected back. For the one who is not ready to face these parts of themselves, this can be terrifying. Internally, the runner is often experiencing a storm of confusion. There is a deep sense of being overwhelmed, not only emotionally but spiritually. It's not uncommon for the runner to feel intense anxiety, pressure, or emotional discomfort when they are around the other half of their soul. This is not because the connection is wrong or toxic. It's because it is so deeply right that it brings everything to the surface that needs to be healed. Most twin flame runners have deeply rooted fears. Fear of vulnerability, fear of losing control, fear of being exposed. These fears often stem from earlier life experiences, emotional neglect, betrayal, abandonment, or even just growing up in environments where expressing emotion was not safe or welcome. When they come into contact with their twin flame, the emotional intensity is like a tidal wave that breaks through all their carefully constructed walls. They may not have the tools, maturity, or awareness to process what's happening, so they do the only thing that feels safe: they run. This state of inner chaos is often invisible to the chaser because the runner does not usually communicate it. In fact, they may not even understand what they're feeling themselves. Their behavior can seem cold, distant, or irrational, but underneath that outer shell is someone deeply overwhelmed by the magnitude of the connection. Understanding this can shift your perspective. It helps to move from, "Why are they doing this to me?" to, "What are they going through right now?" Compassion doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but it allows us to hold space for another's pain, even when it looks like rejection. Now that we understand what the runner feels on the inside, let's look at how this emotional storm translates into outward behavior. Most runners show distinct patterns that can seem confusing, contradictory, or even hurtful to the one who stays. But if we examine these behaviors through the lens of spiritual fear and emotional avoidance, they begin to make more sense. One of the most common patterns is withdrawal. This can look like disappearing without explanation, becoming emotionally unavailable, or suddenly shifting the dynamic of the relationship. The runner might stop responding to messages, cancel plans, or make excuses to avoid closeness. In many cases, the change is abrupt and jarring. One day, they are present and affectionate. The next, they are cold and distant. This sudden shift can feel like whiplash to the other twin flame, but it is often the runner's way of protecting themselves from emotional overload. Along with withdrawal comes silence. The runner often avoids communication, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to express what they're feeling. They may be afraid that saying the wrong thing will hurt you, or worse, expose their own vulnerability. So they choose silence as a shield. They might ghost you or disappear from your life altogether, not because they want to, but because they feel they have no other way to regain emotional control. Then there is denial. Many twin flame runners go through a phase where they convince themselves that the connection isn't real. They may downplay the relationship, call it a fling, or claim that you're just imagining the intensity. This is a defense mechanism. By denying the truth of the bond, they try to reduce its power over them. It gives them a temporary sense of control in a situation where they feel emotionally powerless. To the one being left behind, these behaviors can feel cruel, but they are not born from cruelty. They are born from fear, confusion, and emotional overwhelm. Knowing this doesn't take away the pain, but it can help you stop blaming yourself. It is not your fault they ran. Their soul simply wasn't ready to face the depth of what you share. One of the most heartbreaking truths about the twin flame runner is that, on some level, they want to stay. They feel the connection. They know, perhaps not consciously, but somewhere deep within, that this bond is not ordinary. They feel drawn to it, even addicted to it, and yet they feel equally compelled to push it away. This is the essence of the runner's inner conflict. There is a push and pull that defines the runner's emotional state. One moment, they are reaching out, craving the warmth and spiritual intimacy of their twin flame. The next, they are backing away, filled with panic, trying to reclaim their emotional independence. It's as though two opposing forces are battling within them, one that wants to merge and one that wants to flee. This inner tug of war can go on for years, depending on how ready they are to face themselves. Part of the reason this conflict is so strong is because the runner often equates intimacy with loss of self. This is especially true if they have a history of codependent relationships or have never fully established a secure sense of personal identity. When the connection with their twin flame becomes intense, they fear that they will be consumed by it. They worry that being in this kind of spiritual union means giving up their autonomy, their freedom, or their sense of control. So they run, not because they want to leave you, but because they want to protect themselves. They may also be haunted by guilt or shame. The runner may feel they are not enough for this connection, that they are not spiritually evolved enough, not emotionally mature enough, or simply too broken to be worthy of such divine love. And so they run to spare you from their flaws. They think they are doing you a favor, but in truth, they are still not ready to love themselves the way they are meant to love you. This conflict, this simultaneous desire to stay and need to leave, is painful not just for the one who remains, but for the runner too. They suffer in silence. They question their choices. They think about you more than they let on. And deep down, many of them hope they will find the courage to come back. To truly understand the behavior of the twin flame runner, we must talk about the ego. Not ego in the sense of arrogance, but ego as the part of us that clings to safety, control, and identity. The ego is rooted in fear. It wants things to be predictable, comfortable, and within our control. But the twin flame connection is the opposite of all of that. It is unpredictable. It pushes boundaries. It challenges the ego at every level. For the runner, this challenge often feels like a threat. Their ego rises up in resistance. It tells them that they can't trust this love, that they will get hurt, that they need to protect themselves. The ego tries to keep them in the familiar, even if the familiar is emotionally numb or spiritually empty. It would rather them stay in a shallow relationship or alone than risk the raw vulnerability of true intimacy. Underneath the ego's resistance are the unhealed wounds, old pain that has never been fully processed. Abandonment, rejection, betrayal, shame. These wounds shape how the runner sees themselves and the world. If they were taught that love always ends in pain, or that they are unworthy of being chosen, they will naturally fear any love that feels too good to be true. The twin flame journey is designed to bring all of this to the surface. It is not just about union, it is about transformation. And transformation is not comfortable. It requires breaking down the old self, releasing outdated beliefs, and confronting wounds that have been buried for a lifetime. The runner's avoidance is not laziness or cruelty. It's the soul's way of saying, I'm not ready yet. But every step they take, even in running, is part of the path. They may need to hit emotional rock bottom. They may need to experience other relationships, go through deep solitude, or face painful realizations before they begin to awaken. This process is sacred, and it's happening, even when you can't see it. After the runner withdraws, it is common for them to appear as though they've moved on. They may enter new relationships, immerse themselves in work, travel, or adopt a suddenly busy lifestyle. From the outside, it can look as if they have closed the chapter, sealed the book, and are living a life where the twin flame bond never existed. This can be one of the most painful parts for the other twin, watching someone they feel spiritually tied to act as if the connection meant nothing. But this moving on is often an illusion. What's really happening is emotional suppression. The intensity of the twin flame bond doesn't go away. It only gets buried. And burying something so powerful takes a lot of effort. The runner distracts themselves as a way of numbing out. They convince themselves that other people can fill the void, or that distance and time will lessen the pull. They might even appear happy or content, but often this is a carefully maintained facade. Inside, the soul remembers, always. Temporary relationships are especially common during this stage. The runner may find someone who feels safe, who doesn't challenge them emotionally or spiritually. These connections are not meant to last. They are placeholders. They offer comfort, validation, or distraction. But they lack the soul-deep recognition of the twin flame bond. And over time, the runner begins to feel the emptiness of these relationships, even if they can't explain why. They may start comparing their partners to you or feel inexplicably unfulfilled, no matter how good the relationship seems. This behavior doesn't mean the runner doesn't care. Quite the opposite. It often reveals just how much the connection affected them. Because it touched them so deeply, they are doing everything they can to escape the emotional weight of it. But healing cannot be outrun. Sooner or later, what has been suppressed will rise. If you are the one watching from a distance, the best thing you can do is allow them the space to go through this phase. Do not interfere, judge, or try to pull them back before they are ready. Trust the journey. Trust that truth always rises, even if it takes time. What is real cannot be forgotten. It lives in the soul. Every twin flame runner reaches a turning point. At some stage, sometimes after months, sometimes years, the numbness begins to wear off. The distractions no longer satisfy. The relationships they use to hide from their truth begin to dissolve, and they are left facing something they've avoided all along, their own soul. This turning point can be triggered by many things: a personal loss, a failed relationship, a major life transition, or simply the quiet ache of living a life that feels disconnected from something sacred. When this moment arrives, the runner often feels a deep emptiness, a yearning they can't explain. That's when the soul starts calling them back, not just to you, but to themselves. This is when the spiritual awakening begins. At first, it can be deeply disorienting. The runner may feel like their life is falling apart. Old structures begin to collapse: careers, relationships, belief systems. The ego resists. The fear returns. But something stronger begins to emerge as well: awareness. They start to remember. They begin to understand that what they ran from was never a threat. It was a gift, a mirror, a sacred invitation to heal. Many runners begin their spiritual path in earnest at this stage. They may turn to meditation, journaling, therapy, energy work, or simply begin asking deeper questions about who they are and what they truly want. They start revisiting past memories, dreams, synchronicities, and often the memory of you, your presence, your love, comes back with an intensity they can no longer suppress. It's important to understand that this awakening is not always linear. The runner may come forward, then pull away again. They may communicate, then fall silent. This is not manipulation. It's the ebb and flow of healing. They are learning to trust their heart again, to feel, to surrender. This stage is delicate. It's a bridge between who they were and who they are becoming. And it is here, in this tender space, that the seeds of reunion are planted. Even while the runner is physically distant or emotionally closed off, they often carry a silent longing that never truly leaves. They may not speak it, they may not show it, but it lives in the hidden spaces of their heart. They think of you in quiet moments, in the stillness of night, in the echoes of songs, in the flicker of dreams. Certain places, scents, or words may trigger memories that feel more vivid than the present. This is not fantasy. It is the soul remembering what the mind has tried to forget. This silent longing is often accompanied by a sense of regret or sorrow. The runner may begin to realize the depth of what they left behind. They may not fully understand the nature of the twin flame bond, but they know it was real. They know it mattered. And slowly, they begin to wish they had handled things differently. But this longing is not meant to torment them. It is meant to soften them. It is the heart's way of cracking open, of making space for healing and truth. It teaches them humility, empathy, and the sacredness of love. During this time, many runners begin to watch from afar. They may check your social media, ask mutual friends about you, or simply wonder what your life looks like without them. They are not always ready to reach out, but the connection is still alive in their hearts. And for many, this inner yearning becomes the bridge that guides them back to you. If you feel their energy or think of them often during this stage, you're not imagining it. The connection is still very much alive, just hidden beneath layers of emotional protection. They are thinking of you. They miss you, even if they can't say it yet. Eventually, there comes a moment when the runner begins to shift. You may not see it right away, but the energy changes. The resistance starts to fade. The fear softens, and a quiet readiness begins to grow. This is not about chasing you or rushing back. It's about stepping into the truth with greater awareness and courage. Signs of this shift can be subtle. The runner may begin communicating again, perhaps slowly, cautiously, but with more sincerity. They might apologize or simply start acknowledging their feelings. You may notice more vulnerability in their tone, more openness in their words. They begin to take emotional responsibility, not just for what happened between you, but for their own healing. In many cases, they also begin to take action in their lives that reflect deeper change. Leaving toxic relationships, changing careers, moving to new places, prioritizing their inner peace. These shifts are not about proving something to you. They are about aligning with their true self. And in doing so, they move closer to the vibration of union. This stage is not a guarantee of immediate reunion, but it is a powerful sign that the runner is awakening to the depth of your connection. They may still carry doubts, but they are beginning to trust the love they once feared. They are beginning to realize that union doesn't mean losing themselves. It means finding a home in someone who reflects their soul. If you are on the receiving end of this energy, remain grounded. Let go of expectations, but stay open. Continue your own healing. Continue loving without attachment. The path forward may not be clear, but it is unfolding in divine timing. Your twin flame is not returning because you waited. They are returning because they are finally ready. Understanding the behavior of the twin flame runner isn't about justifying pain. It's about illuminating the path of deep soul growth. The runner doesn't flee because they don't care. They flee because the love mirrors parts of them they're not yet ready to face. Behind every act of distance, every silence, every retreat is a sacred invitation to heal. If you are walking the path of the one who stayed, know that your journey is not in vain. The love you hold is not one-sided. It's deeply felt on both ends, even if one cannot yet express it. Keep choosing growth, keep surrendering, and above all, keep trusting that what is meant for you will always find its way. The twin flame connection was never about losing each other. It's about remembering who you are and rising into union with your highest self. Reunion happens not when both are perfect, but when both are aligned in truth. The love is real, the journey is sacred, and the soul always knows the way home.